I came here to tell you the story of the sun and the moon. It is maybe one of the first wisdom that ancient mystics took from the nature, because they were inspired by this phenomena that in the sky there is these two big objects, sun and the moon. It's like two eyes, two eyes of the sky, one representing day, one night. It's the balance of nature. And when they come together, when the sun and moon comes together, we call this event the solar eclipse. And solar eclipse, it's actually today. That's why I'm making this video today. And when the solar eclipse happens, when the sun and moon join together, it's like a man and woman join together, because sun and moon were representing always male and female. And when they come together, sometimes the moon is a little bit smaller because it is not always on the same distance. And when this happens, then the only thing that we can see in the sky, it's a ring around the moon, because the moon is covering the sun, behind there's light, and just a circle. Today it's called the ring of fire, but it is more like, looks like a ring of gold. It has this color of the sun, of gold. So this ring of gold, or golden ring, it's the symbol that it's used for the ritual, for the initiation, for marriages. This is why we put golden ring on this finger when we get married, because it is symbolically representing the male and female comes together. In some traditions, male it's a sun, female a moon. But not in every tradition it's like this. But originally, the moon is representing female, because the menstruation cycle that happens once in a month. And therefore, the sun is representing male. And sometimes people are confused, but how can in one tradition be one knowledge and on the other one a different wisdom? Which one is correct? Well, I tell you this. I had a friend once, I still have, and she's a very good therapist. And she was doing a therapy according to the basic was that the left part of the body is representing male and the right part of the body is representing female energies. So she would do therapy according to that. Not only according to that, but that was the first thing that she observed. And she learned this from the Chinese tradition, because this is in Chinese tradition. However, she was doing also Ayurveda and yoga, but she never learned that in India, in the yogic tradition, it's the opposite. The right represents male and the left female in Tantra. So one day we were discussing about it, and I told her, and she said, but this is wrong, because my experience, I'm 100% convinced that it's how I learn, and that is the right is representing female and the left male, the Chinese version, right? I didn't want to say anything, but obviously she was thinking about, and then she decided to change that, her beliefs, her philosophy. So after a year, we talk about the same thing in one occasion, and she told me that she changed her beliefs, and I asked her, but is it working now because you do the therapy? She said, yes, it's working, because she changed the beliefs. So whatever you believe, you are creating this reality. And the universe, it's talking to you in the language that you understand, the language that you learn, the language that you choose. So in the same way, there are philosophies and wisdom from different traditions that are contradict sometimes, but now you get the point why all of them are good, why all of them are working in practice. But in my village, right is male and left is female. And also, one forgotten wisdom is that the sun is representing two elements. The element fire, obviously, because it's made of fire, and it is affecting air, the winds. So the sun is representing fire, or it's made from fire and air element, because all nature is made of the 5 elements. And the moon is made of earth element, and it is affecting water, tides. So when these two objects, male and female energies, come together, it is a union of the elements, of the 4 elements. And where is the 5th one, you might ask? Well, the 5th element is the sun and the moon, especially when they join together. So both sun and moon has the 5th element, spirit. In some tradition, it's called space. So, for example, here I have the symbols of the alchemy, of the elements. The 2 triangles facing up are fire and air, and 2 triangles facing down are water and earth. And when they all join together, you get this symbol, which we recognize as a famous Jewish symbol, the Star of David, but that it's actually inspired or took it by alchemy, by the symbols of the elements. And it is triangles together in a circle, because the circle is representing the 5th element. And you can see that in the sky, both sun and moon are circle, are round. So when they come together, they form this golden ring, which is a circle, a golden circle. And the circle is actually the symbol of the space, the circle. So this is why in alchemy, the symbol of the 5th element, in alchemy they keep the 5th element knowledge secretly, because they use it when they were trying to create gold. But if you read, for example, Agrippa, he's mentioning that the 5th element was the most important element. And they often use sun and moon symbol in alchemy, which is all the elements together, or the circle in a form of the snake eating its own tail. So the circle is actually the most important symbol in nature. Everything is around, even the smaller things. The biggest things are in the circle around, the smallest thing when we look at the microscope. Because the whole universe, it's actually life. And the circle, the symbol of circle, it's representing life. So this is why when male and female comes together, like sun and moon, when they join together, they create a golden ring, a circle. Because when this happens, a new life is born. When male and female comes together, child is born. So this is why ancient mystics choose the symbol of circle to represent life. But not just life that is born out of male and female comes together, but every life, because the circle represents the fifth element, as we say, the fifth element, space or spirit, like shamanic tradition. It's called great spirit, which is the same because the great spirit or the space, it's everywhere. It's like a God. It's everything. It's the universe itself. And what is the universe itself? What is the God itself? The definition of it. I would say, in my village, we say that it is eternal life. So this is why circle is representing life. The circle, as a fifth element, it's also known in the symbolism of India, in Tantra, in the chakras. Because every chakra is in the circle, like here I have symbols of chakras, in the circle, surrounded by a certain number of petals. So these are the symbols, very similar to the alchemy symbols. I made a video about this when I explained the symbols of the elements. And basically, all of them are in the circle because every element is in the space. But the fifth element is the circle itself, the Akasha. In India, it's called Akasha. So in the space, everything is written, the Akashic records. But the circle, as a symbol of life, it's not only made to represent marriage, the golden ring, when female and male come together, but it is also representing a new life that is born within us. When a spiritual transformation, when an enlightenment happened, then the circle is represented here. We can see that the saints has this symbol because they were born again. In Tantra, it's also a similar story when the Kundalini awakes, and then when this energy through the chakras, through the elements, comes to the top, then the enlightenment happened. Because we have these two energies in the body, male and female. I don't like to call them male and female. In my village, we don't use this terminology because male and female are representing the elements of nature. Sun and moon are made of the elements of nature. So there is a male and female body. Male has penis, a lingam. A female has yoni, vagina. And those bodies needs to come together to create a new life. But in every person, there are these two energies, sun and moon. In yoga, these are two channels in Tantra. They are going through the chakras, and they meet in the head, through the nostrils, eyes. They also called sun and moon nadis, Ida and Pingala, or sun and moon. And one of the first original yoga is Hatha yoga, which means Hatha means sun, moon, yoga means join, when sun and moon join together. So this is the whole point of yoga, the whole point of spirituality. It's to bring these two energy together, the sun and moon energy, all the elements together, so that a new life is born. Enlightenment. And some people believe that it is dangerous to be exposed on the solar eclipse, but this is the biggest, the most beautiful phenomena in nature, to witness when this happened, the union between sun and moon. This event is so rare that to miss it, if it happens in your country, to miss it, it's a misfortune. It's a shame. To be scared of it, it's not very wise. Because when the sun and moon comes together, this event is so powerful inside, and everything what is inside is reflected outside. So everything what is outside is triggered inside. And we have this sun and moon. So when this happens, this is the energy of balance, to balance the elements. And this is a pure initiation. So to be afraid of the solar eclipse is like to be afraid of initiation. And of course that initiation can trigger some hard time, because the process of balancing can be hard for some people. Depends where you are on a spiritual journey. For me it was hard. Why it is hard? Because we tend to have a disbalance of the elements. We tend to do the things that one element likes, the other one doesn't. So once we start to feed one element, it becomes strong, and we create disbalance. And every element needs to be balanced, not too much, not too little. So every element needs to be in balance. And also, fire and water needs to be balanced, air and earth needs to be balanced. Balance is the law of nature. So universe, nature, life, the eternal life will push us to balance, will try to inspire us to balance, but if we don't react on this, if we don't take this opportunity, then it will push us in the end. Easy or hard way. Because life likes to be in the balance. So male and female. You see, male, it's sun is fire and air, because men, for thousands of years of evolution, they were running. Women were not running all the time because they were pregnant a lot of time. Yeah, it's not like today, they get pregnant only once in a lifetime. So women develop the ability to take care of children. And because they couldn't run, they take care of the place. So earth elements stay in the place. Men were hunting, fighting, or going around, exploring. They develop air element. And fire because of fighting and hunting and running. Action. Fire is action. Water is relaxation. That's why water represents emotions. because water cares about life. When we are under water, the extra water comes out from our tears. When we are under fire, then we become red and explosive like a fire. But this is not like I'm talking about that majority of men therefore has stronger fire and air, majority of women has stronger water and earth. But this is now changing rapidly. I see more and more women start to develop more fire and air, and more men start to develop earth and water element. So this is why I'm saying that we don't use in our village the word male and female, because characteristics. We use for the physical body, but not for the characteristics, because the characteristics belong to nature, to fire, water, air, and earth. These are our characteristics, are the characteristics of nature. And this can be changed. This can be changed even in one lifetime. There's no need a genetic reprogramming for that. In one lifetime can be changed. So, therefore, balance means you have both characteristics, male and female, or fire and water, air and earth. That is balance. Okay, but what is the fifth element, spirit? What are the characteristics of this element? Well, as the word spirit says, the spiritual element is the fifth element and likes everything that has to do with spirituality, another dimension, everything that you cannot see. Magic belongs to spirit element. It's the space itself. It's hard to understand. It's everywhere. It's the life itself. But to make it more understandable, I will tell you a story from my village. And about spirituality. Because there are 3 stages of spirituality. And there are 2 paths of spirituality. So the story goes that one day, one man was trying to understand what he needed to do to find his spiritual path. And so he prayed, and then one night in the dream, a voice appeared to him and told him to go to the east, to walk to the east until he find a mountain. And he saw in his dream, he saw this mountain, so he knows how it looks like a pyramid. And when he will come there, that he will find there a tribe, a community. He will find some people that will teach him about spirituality, about how to live and how to evolve on a spiritual path. So he went immediately, next morning. He left his village and he went to the east. And when he found the mountain, he came in front and there were 2 ways. So he started to walk to the right, and after some time he saw a temple and some people were living in this temple. So he asked if he can join, because he immediately recognized that this is the community that he was looking for. And they invite him, of course, but they told him that they live under certain rules. And he said, that's great, I came here to learn. So basically, the rules were very simple. They were worshipping the god of the sun, like many ancient tribes, because this was the brightest thing in the sky. And they were praying to the god of the sun every day. 4 times a day they did rituals. Morning, when on the sunrise, in the noon, when the sun is on the highest peak, evening on the sunset, and midnight, when the sun is like in the middle of the night, right? On the other side. And these rituals were the most important thing. They were doing the rituals. They were using the 5 elements to create rituals. They were using fire for rituals. They were using water. They were using air, like smoke. And they were using earth, like ashes. And I'm not going to explain you now this ritual. It doesn't matter. And this was a must. This was something that everybody needs to come. And otherwise, they believe that if they don't do the ritual, the god of the sun will punish them by sending catastrophes like earthquakes, tsunamis, floods, strong winds, wildfires, right? These things that happens in nature here and there. So they believe that when this happened, the god was punishing them. So it was also very strict community, like when there was a time for praying, male and female and ritual, male and female were separated because they didn't want that the sexual energy or this interaction energy of male and female, which is always strong, to bother them, to disturb them, because they need to be focused on the ritual. And also it was forbidden they were doing agriculture, they had schedule, they worked together as a community. It was forbidden to take any kind of stimulants like alcohol, any kind of magic mushrooms, or smoking weed or anything, even eating meat and fish. They were like against those things, because they said that those things are disturbing a spiritual practitioner who is on the spiritual path. So if you want to live in that community, this was a spiritual community. So you live there if you want to dedicate your life to spirituality. And he wanted, so he stayed there under these rules. Everything was fine. And then one day, he fall asleep and he didn't wake up for the sunrise ritual. And the community were very angry about this, and they start to talk about what kind of punishment they will give to him. And he heard this and he gets scared, because somebody even mentioned that they might gonna kill him, because now they were afraid that the god will send, I don't know, wildfires or something. So he heard this and he gets scared and he escaped from that community. So he was running. Nobody was chasing him, fortunately. So he was running and he came to the other side of the mountain, and he met a group of people in the jungle around the lake and river, and some waterfalls were there, very beautiful in nature. Everybody was naked. And then he said, "What is this?" So he asked, "What is this?" And they said, "It's a community, we live here." And he said, "Well, this is strange. It's like, what are you doing?" They said, "Nothing, just living." "Okay, so can I stay with you?" They said, "Yes, of course." And he asked, what are the rules? And they said, "No rules." And then he looked around and he saw that, people were singing and joyful, but they were taking a lot of stimulants also, smoking, drinking. They were making sex everywhere. So it was a completely different community than the first one. And he asked, but what is the philosophy behind this? And they said, well, we call ourselves the tribe of the moon. And he asked, because you worship the moon? No, they said, we realize that God is one, and God is everything. So there's no need to worship a sun or moon. We just call ourselves the moon to be the opposite of the sun tribe. And basically there are no rules. You can do whatever you want. Freedom, it is based on freedom, on love. And he kind of, it was weird in the beginning, but he started to like it and he started to get into it. And he thought, maybe is this the community that he need to learn from it? Because the other one almost killed him. So it was not that one. So the philosophy was that everything is one, right? Today we also have this Advaita philosophy. In Greece it's called pantheism. In China it's called Taoism or Tao. In India, Advaita Vedanta philosophy. So that God is everything, like yoga. That God is everything, right? But no rules, like Tantra. So he lived there for some time until one day they start to fight between each other because they were lacking food, because they were eating mostly they didn't do agriculture, they were eating from fruits from nature. But, you know, if you don't take care of food, it's not always that nature will give you. It depends of season and everything. So one day they start to fight about the food, they start to be hungry and, you know, under alcohol, under some drugs, they start to be aggressive. And then the whole fight, everybody get included. There were nobody who will make rules, who will do some kind of judgment or some kind of peacemaker or something. Like everything, it was a chaos. So somebody came to him with a knife and almost he got killed. So he escaped from that community too. So he was running, nobody was chasing him, fortunately. And then he came again to the same place in front of mountain when he came the first time. And he was thinking, and now what? Like, it was not the sun tribe, it was not the moon tribe. I did the whole circle around the mountain, what now? And so he was tired and he fell asleep. And in the dream, again, the same voice came to him. And the voice told him, now that you learned and experienced the knowledge, the wisdom, the philosophy of the sun tribe and the moon tribe, now you know what is the spiritual path. It is a balance between these two. Because this sun tribe, this is, if you go right, this is called the path of the sun. If you go left, it's called the path of the moon. But still today we have this division in politics, for example, right? Left it's liberal, right it's more strict, more conservative. And this is the same in Tantra. They call it left and right hand of Tantra. And this is the debate that people are doing, and this is the confusion that spiritual people are making with themselves. Like, how should one spiritual person live? Is it okay if I drink? Is it okay if I smoke? Is it okay to have sex? Is it okay to have sex out of marriage? You know, all these questions arise in each person. Some people immediately get their own answers. Some people are confused for a long time. Some people are following one path, some people are following the other one. But the wisdom of the balance, it's very, very simple. It is a balance between the sun and the moon. So this man, this mystic, just realized this in the dream. He woke up and he decided to build a house there. So he built a house, and then slowly some people come to him, and they also maybe experience similar situations. And then this community, other people start to live with him, and this community become bigger and bigger. Eventually, they create a village. They create a temple in the middle of the village in the form of the pyramid, because the wisdom of this mystic was that nature is made of 5 elements. The sun and moon are this 5th element spirit, but there are also 4 elements that are also part of life. That is balance, and they create 4 temples around the pyramid. To each temple they dedicate 1 element, and the pyramid is the 5th one. Why the pyramid? Because it has the shape of the mountain, but also they make the 5 corners. It's important that this mountain has 5 corners to represent the 5 elements. So in this village, they were doing the rituals, but it was not obligatory, because they didn't base their own philosophy on fear, but rather on love. It's very beautiful to do those rituals. We don't do rituals to please the gods. We do rituals for ourselves, to connect ourselves with the God, not to please God, to connect ourselves with the elements of nature, with sun, moon, and the elements. Through our 5 senses, with fire through vision, with water through taste, with earth through touch, they use ashes, with air, with smell, they use smelling wood. And they did rituals. They did had rules, but not based on fears, but based on love, because it's beautiful to do rituals. And it's also good to have rules of the community, to know schedule, to work, to have agriculture and everything. Just because a community needs some structure, not anarchy, because it doesn't work. So both of the paths, sun and moon, are too extreme. Something in the middle. He's trying to create something in the middle. And that it's not easy to maintain. But that was the first village of the 5 elements, the 5 elements village, and that is my village. This is the village that I am talking about. In every my video I mention the wisdom from my village. So when I'm channelizing, I'm downloading this wisdom of the 5 elements, and I'm always saying that it's coming from my village. Sometimes I hear the voice, sometimes just intuition, just is coming. And I don't know if this village was in the past, if that was in the time of Atlantis, or it is a village from the future. It's a village that I'm going to create, or maybe somebody else will create. But it is definitely a place that exists, at least in the Akashic records. In the records of the 5th element spirit. So this story about the sun and the moon, and the first mystic, is the story of balance, is the story of spirituality. And I hope that this story helped you to understand a little bit about the spiritual path. Maybe you have a clear idea of what to do now. This 5 elements village they also followed a time with nature, according to nature, right? They follow the sunrise, sunset, midnight, midday as a 4 event in the day, but also in 1 year we have the same event, solstices and equinoxes, when the sun reaches its highest peak, when the day and night are equal, like in the equinoxes, and when the sun reaches its lower peak in the winter solstice. And this is 1 year of the cycle, and so they develop a calendar according to that. And this calendar was much more in alignment that the calendar that we have today, a Gregorian calendar, which is outdated. It's not following the solstices and equinoxes, which is a paradox. One day I will present this calendar when I will get the message that it is time. I hope that for the calendar I will not wait a long time, because the world needs a new age, and that's why we need a new calendar for start. We need to celebrate solstices and equinoxes, because then we celebrate nature. In the first 5 elements village, the celebration of the elements were on solstices and equinoxes. Each of these events was dedicated to one element. On the winter solstice, they light a fire, they were walking across the fire. On the spring equinox, they were bathing in the water, it was a ritual for water. On the summer solstice, they were smoking the holy pipe for the air element. On the autumn equinox, they were covering themselves with ashes and mud for the earth element. These were the rituals for the elements on the solstices and equinoxes. And of course, each ritual was an initiation, like the sun and the moon, when they joined together, it's in initiation. With this I started this video, and with this I will finish. Because they created this initiation of marriage, and not only of marriage, but the initiation of spiritual path. Because when one person wants to start a spiritual path, it needs to change things in life. It needs to change certain things, programs, right? To reprogram itself. Because there's a lot of programs that we have and we associated with them, but we don't need them. We need to change. But they are very, very hard to change. Those programs can become very strong, super strong. Stronger than the program of survival and reproduction. Yeah? People kill each other because of programs. People kill themselves because of programs. So they create the symbol of the initiation of marriage for the new life. They create initiation for spiritual new life. Because the initiation, it's a strong event that it's supporting your change, so that you always remember when there will be difficult time in your process, evolutionary process. It's going to be difficult time. But in that time you need to remember, and the initiation is helping you. It is a boost of energy that is helping you to remember why you are on this path. So when you take a new path, when you take a new knowledge, a new wisdom, and you start to live according to that, first thing what you need is a strong initiation, a marker in your lifetime. And sometimes those strong initiations are coming from outside. Some things happen to people that change their life. Somebody like a birth of the child, it's an initiation that can change your life. A death of someone close to you, it can also trigger your It can be an initiation that triggers you to change your lifestyle or something. Or you realize that, I don't know, life is short. So this is why mystics didn't wait for nature to create an initiation, but they, inspired by nature, they create their own initiation to initiate people to start a spiritual life. This is why when you get married, there is initiation of marriage. There is a whole ritual. There is a preparation. Bigger preparation, bigger ritual, bigger initiation, better, more energy, more support it will be for this path that you choose. A marriage, path of marriage. It's a new path. When you start to live with another person, maybe you will have children. There's a completely new life. This is why a marriage ring on the finger that representing the element water, like chakras, earth, water, fire, air, spirit. In some traditions are different, I'm telling you, from the 5 elements village. Earth, practical, water, emotions, fire, ego, very dangerous, air, knowledge, spirit, always different. Our body has 5 corners, like the symbols. That's why the first mystics choose that the corners will represent the elements, because our body is made of the 5 elements, and our body has the shape of the 5-pointed star, with the 5th element completely different, the head. On the head, there are 5 senses. On each of these extremities, there are 5 fingers, 5 toes, and 5 senses on the head. With these 5 senses, we are directly connected to the 5 elements of nature, and they are the source of energy. So we collect this energy through the 5 senses, and we store in the chakras, the energetic centers of the elements of nature. So, not to get more into that, I made a lot of video about that. But yeah, the 5 elements are the base of all esoteric and spiritual teachings in the world. If you study any of them, from yoga, alchemy, through shamanic tradition, through to Chinese tradition, to traditional medicine of India, China, Vastu, the knowledge of the space, astrology, the knowledge of time, all that is based on the elements of nature, the chakra system. If you study any of them, Ayurveda, you should learn about the elements. But remember, they all are different because knowledge gets lost, and then other mystics incorporate their own experience or knowledge into it. But eventually it's coming from one source. And remember, this source was very simple. The opposite element, fire, water, air, earth. Always think about the opposite. And the 5th element, spirit, that has 2 paths, sun and moon. The middle one, the balance between sun and moon path, is the correct spiritual path, is the best, the easiest, the more powerful. If you want to get deeper, of course, I have programs, online programs, retreats. If you come to retreat, you will come here in this cave as well. You will learn about yourself, about the elements. I have programs to master your life using these elements of nature, because once you establish balance, you can also use the wisdom of nature, the wisdom of the 5 elements of nature, to master your life. If I forgot anything to say or if I have something important to add, I will write down in the description of this video. If there will be some video that it's linked to this one, and there are already. So check below this video for those links if you are interested in this 5 elements wisdom, or the wisdom of the sun and the moon. And I will salute you with the mantra Om Namah Shivaya, because Om Namah Shivaya is the mantra of the 5 elements of nature. So thank you for being with me in this cave today. And may the spirits of nature be with you. Om Namah Shivaya.